These are stories about my reluctant and, dare I say, courageous journey into understanding my emotions and what I've learned. I'm super grateful for the questions you ask because they're guiding me on this fantastic adventure. This week's topic comes from Christy, who wanted to know how to be confident and not insecure, which means this week's topic is about how to be confident and not insecure. In the first video, I talked about a time I felt insecure and how I got through it. In the next video, I talked about how I felt insecure and started looking for confidence. In this video, I'm focusing on a time I found confidence. The next video will be the meditation, and then you'll see the Friday ditty or the fridity, where I pull it all together, I get a little bit poetic and a little bit nerdy, and make sense of the journey. All the videos will appear in the playlist, How to Be Confident and Not Insecure. So, if you have a question like Christy did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. So when is a time I found confidence, and how was it different from feeling insecure? I am thinking of the time, what's coming up for me is when yesterday I talked about how insecure I was in my first meeting at the Chamber of Commerce, and the moment that's popping into my mind right now is the time I became president of the chamber and gave a speech. So at this point in time, I'm standing in this large auditorium with wooden floors and tables, many tables of people sitting there with the white tablecloths, and everyone's dressed in their business-like fashion, and I'm giving my acceptance speech. And I was so excited to be giving this acceptance speech. And, my sweating had dissipated. At this point in time, it felt like I was friends, or at least I knew all the people in the room. So I wasn't feeling as threatened. And I crack a joke. Part of my speech, I crack a joke. And it fell totally flat. Like there was crickets, and I kind of chuckled to myself, and then I said, yeah, that was supposed to be a joke, and then everybody laughed. Like the uncomfortableness was fantastic. And I think had I been feeling insecure in that moment, I don't think I would have been able to say, yeah, that was a joke. Like, this is just me, guys. That's all there is to it. And maybe that confidence also has something to do with, hey, this is who I am. I can be nerdy, I can be eccentric, I can be a goofball, and I need, for me in that situation, it was important that as I transitioned from feeling insecure into that point in time where I was able to feel confident and do these things, that it wasn't about the insecurity, but making that transition took growth, it took energy, and I had to work at it. We're talking about, I want to say that was at least 3 years, maybe 4 after, no, it was 3, after walking in with that sense of insecurity and that inability to feel like I belonged and have that confidence that because I exist, I belong. And in fact, that confidence in and of itself, I don't think came until more recently, as far as in my experience of being human, that I belong. And yet, I can have that knowledge and I can have that confidence in that area and still walk into situations like the situation of me getting the haircut that I talked about in the very first video this week, and that experience only happened this week, and yet there was still that insecurity that came up. So I think that sometimes, we can have confidence in one area and not in another area, and then we can build confidence in yet another area. We are so multidimensional. At least this is, I know everyone says this, but until you experience it, until you really see, I can be insecure about connecting with people, and I can be confident when I get in front of a camera. Okay, I don't know if I'm confident when I get in front of a camera now. I feel more confident in just speaking about the things that I've I'm talking about. So maybe, like for me, it's more confident in speaking about my emotions. Had you met me many years ago, or probably maybe even last year, I wouldn't have felt like I was capable of talking about these things and of bringing what was happening inside out to the forefront. And I certainly wouldn't have been in a position where I felt confident to be speaking on a camera and then posting it on social media. So I think that there are these layers and there's these new things that we have to experience, at least for me. So I was feeling insecure about being on camera. What did I need to do in order to get through that? Just like in with the Chamber of Commerce that I talked about yesterday, I had to step through each feeling as I had to step through that insecurity. I had to, I guess in essence, the best way I could put it is I had to do it anyway. I had to do it scared. I think it's Elise Myers that came up with a short form video on, I think it was TikTok, where it's like, do it scared, do it, for me it was do it sweating bullets and soaking your shirts, and do it even though it's uncomfortable, because eventually the new things get more comfortable. And I think part of it is because it's not predictable yet. If I wouldn't have those insecurities about doing things if I knew I would do the right thing every single time. Nevertheless, I am human just like you. So I can go into similar situations and I can crack one joke and it will land great. I can go into another situation, again similar, and it will fall flat on its face. And what I have to remember is that's just what's supposed to be happening in that moment. It doesn't have to take away from my value or my confidence. It sometimes does take away from my confidence. But if I can remember that confidence is something that I get by practicing something over and over and over again, and it's not a bad thing that I still feel insecure, then that helps me continue to take those steps forward. So if you're noticing, at least for me, this is how I look at it. If I notice that I'm still feeling insecure and yet I'm confident in other areas, or maybe I'm confident that I can, give a speech, and yet when as I'm walking up there, I still get nervous and insecure about how it's going to go, it's actually a really good sign that says I really care about this situation. And if I didn't care, I don't think that sensation or that insecurity would be there. So I would be interested to hear what your thoughts are on insecurity and confidence and how they work out together. I would also love to hear about a time when you felt like you mattered. And I don't know why I chose to use confidence for mattering, but nevertheless, confidence, useless, worthless, it all goes together. Anyway, these videos will be located in the playlist Feeling Useless and Worthless. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.